Summer Lightning by P.G. Wodehouse, adapted in 6 episodes by Richard Osborne, with Richard Vernon as Lord Emsworth and Ian Carmichael as the Honourable Galahad Threepwood. Episode 3, A Job for Percy Pilbeam.
Dark clouds are gathering over Blandings Castle. Why has Lady Constance sent for Rupert Baxter, once Lord Emsworth's detested secretary? It's those scurrilous memoirs that her brother Galahad has nearly finished for publication. And who has stolen Lord Emsworth's prize pig from her sty? His nephew Ronald, whose idea was that by finding the pig later, he would get his grateful uncle to approve his marriage to a pretty chorus girl, Sue Brown. And who was Ronnie's accomplice? Lord Emsworth's butler, Beach. No wonder Beach quivered like a tuning fork at any mention of pigs. Then there was that free-for-all at Mario's nightclub. Ronnie found his beloved Sue out with that pestilent private eye Percy Pilbeam, and all three retired hurt, while Ronnie's friend Hugo Carmody has got the boot from Millicent. So here, the morning after, are love's outcasts, Sue and Hugo, sharing their newfound sorrows.
Oh, Hugo, what am I going to do? Oh. Ronnie said he never wants to see me again.
And Millicent won't speak to me.
Poor Hugo. How did that happen?
Well, she suspected I was up to something when I came to London, so she got the Argus Inquiry Agency on the telephone from Blandings and told that disgusting Pilbeam to dog my footsteps and report to her. And Pilbeam dogged and reported. So I got an earful from Millicent.
Oh.
Yeah, she said that if I thought we were still engaged, I could have 3 more guesses, i.e., no wedding bells for Hugo. And all I can say is that if your Ronnie...
Mine? I wish he were.
If your Ronnie wants this Pilbeam's blood, and I gather he does, he will jolly well have to wait till I have helped myself first.
Hugo, I don't think your Millicent can be a very nice girl, having you followed like that.
She's an angel. Always was. I don't blame her.
I do.
I don't.
I do. But listen to me now.
Say on, Sue.
I must see Ronnie and explain about last night. Have you ever heard of a Miss Shoemaker?
I seem to have heard the name. Who is she?
Me.
Yes. Sue, don't talk drip to a broken-hearted man. What do you mean?
When Ronnie took me out the other day in London, we suddenly met his Aunt Constance.
A blister, that Lady Constance. Don't talk drip to a broken-hearted man. What do you mean?
When Ronnie took me out the other day in London, we suddenly met his Aunt Constance.
A blister, that Lady Constance. Go on.
Well, Ronnie introduced me as Myra Shoemaker.
Eh?
She's that rich American girl he and his mother met in Biarritz. And Lady Constance immediately invited me, well, that's Myra, to Blandings.
What?
And listen to this, Hugo. I shall go to Blandings as Myra Shoemaker now, and find Ronnie and make him see sense.
And risk the real Miss Shoemaker coming down and dishing the whole thing?
No, Hugo. I made Ronnie send this girl a telegram in Lady Constance's name, saying there's scarlet fever or something at Blandings, and she wasn't to come.
Sue, you're a genius.
And you'll be able to tell Millicent that there couldn't have been any harm in my being out with you at Mario's, as I'm engaged to Ronnie.
Oh, we're on to a big thing, my Susan. Let's push it along. Send this Shoemaker girl a succession of telegrams. Say, Blandings is ravaged by disease, scarlet fever and mumps, not to mention housemaid's knee, diabetes, measles, shingles, and the bots.
I'll do my best in all directions, Hugo. Wish me luck.
Yes, I think that's all right. Let's see how it reads. He was always as hot as mustard and as wide as Leicester Square. When they saw young Parsloe come in, strong men winced and hid their valuables. His old father, the Dean... Yes, that gets it started.
Ah, Galahad, I am distracted about the Empress. Her sty has been empty now for 2 nights.
Yes, Clarence, it's a bad business.
It is indeed. And what young Carmody has told me has completely upset my plans.
Carmody?
Yes. I sent him to the Argus Inquiry Agency in London to get a detective down.
The Argus?
It's a firm Gregory Parsloe once mentioned to me.
Well, if Parsloe wanted a detective, it was for some dirty work, you can bet.
I sent Carmody to them to get someone to find the Empress for me, but they refused to trace missing pigs.
Just as well, Clarence. You don't need a detective. It is perfectly obvious to me who's done the job. Young Tubby Parsloe himself.
Parsloe?
Yes, Parsloe of Matchenham Hall. You've forgotten what I told you the other day about Parsloe when he nobbled my dog Towser?
Towser, yes, I remember. Your dog.
He nobbled Towser then, and you can bet he's nobbling the Empress now. He wants his own pig, Pride of Matchenham, to win the Fat Pigs class at the Shrewsbury Show next month. What's easier than to get the Empress out of the way? For Parsloe and that pig man of his to sneak her away on a dark night. No wonder that squint-eyed swineherd was offering 3 to 1 on Pride of Matchenham in the pub the other evening. I told you at the time it was fishy.
But Galahad, a man in Parsloe's position, a fellow landowner, a baronet, and now a prospective candidate for the Unionists at the by-election.
Parsloe doesn't change his habits just because he's a Bart and wants to get into Parliament. You think he wouldn't stoop to nobbling a pig? He'd nobble his grandmother if the police were looking the other way.
The scoundrel. What shall I do?
Why, look him squarely in the eye and tax him with the crime. I'll come with you.
Look him squarely in the eye.
And tax him.
And tax him.
Yes.
Where the devil's my hat? Can't find my hat. Somebody's always hiding my hat. I will not have my hats hidden.
Come on, Clarence. You don't need a hat to tax a man with stealing a pig.
Yes, Mitford?
Lord Emsworth and Mr. Galahad Threepwood to see you, Sir Gregory.
What?
Young Parsloe, your sins have found you out.
What do you mean? What the devil do you mean?
See his face, Clarence?
Yes, I'm looking at it now.
Guilt written all over it.
Well, yes, plainly.
Now be very careful, Parsloe. Think before you speak, and when you speak, speak the truth. I may say, by way of a start, we know all.
Emsworth, explain. What the deuce are you doing here? And what the devil does that old image, your brother, think he's talking about?
You know?
Parsloe, you sheep-faced, shambling exile from hell. Disgorge that pig immediately.
Pig?
Pig.
Pig, Parsloe. My Empress. The pig you stole 2 nights ago.
I always knew, Emsworth, that you were as mad as a coot.
Is that what?
Coot, he said. Sort of duck. Vituperation will do you no good, young Parsloe. We know you have stolen the Empress.
I haven't stolen any damn pig. What would I want to steal a pig for? I've got plenty of my own.
Parsloe, we can read you like a book. You're out to queer the favourite in the Fat Pigs class at the Shrewsbury Show.
You're crazy, both of you.
Parsloe, will you or will you not cough up that pig?
For the last time, I haven't got your damned pig.
That is your last word, is it?
I haven't even seen the creature.
Why a coot?
Right, Parsloe. I shall take steps. I have been foolishly indulgent. In writing my reminiscences, often and often I have remembered a good story about you that cried out for publication, and I have said, no, this would wound young Parsloe's feelings. Well, from now on, there will be no more forbearance. Every story, starting from when I first saw you in Romano's, and you were walking round the supper table with a soup tureen on your head and a stick of celery in your hand, saying you were a sentry at Buckingham Palace.
It's libel. Damn libel.
Yes, Parsloe, the world shall know you for what you are. The only man ever thrown out of the Café de l'Europe in Leicester Square for trying to raise the price of a bottle of champagne by rattling his trousers in the main bar.
You're mad.
And what is more, I shall tell the full story of the prawns.
No.
The full, complete story of the prawns, omitting nothing.
What's the story of the prawns, my dear fellow? I remember about Parsloe pawning Lord Burper's false teeth in the Edgware Road.
Never mind. I know about the prawns, and young Parsloe knows. And if the Empress isn't back at home in her sty this afternoon, that story will be in my book. Every pitiless detail of it. Come, Clarence, let us get away from this house before it is struck by a thunderbolt.
Well, they've asked for it. I'll fix the blighters. I'll fix them. Put me in his memoirs, would he?
Sir Gregory, what brings you to town, and what can I do for you?
Pilbeam, I'm glad I found you in. I want your help again. Listen.
Speak freely, Sir Gregory. The Argus Inquiry Agency keeps its clients' affairs secret.
Well, let me put it this way. At one time, Pilbeam, I was younger than I am today.
Quite.
Poorer.
no doubt.
And less respectable. Before I came into the title.
I understand.
And unfortunately, I went about a good deal with a man called Threepwood.
Galahad Threepwood?
You know him?
I wrote an article about him once when I was editing a paper called Society Spice.
You met him then?
I did not. On Society Spice, it was foreign to the editorial policy to meet visitors when they called with horsewhips.
Oh, he cut up rough, did he? Well, it'll be my turn now. Galahad Threepwood is writing his memoirs, and there will be things about me in them, scandalous things, and they'll dish me if I stand for Parliament. The party will drop me like a hot coal. Pilbeam, I want you to come down and steal the old fossil's manuscript.
That's a tall order, isn't it, Sir Gregory? Stealing a manuscript from Blandings Castle?
Well, not for a clever fellow like you. Look how you recovered those letters of mine the last time I employed you.
That was easy.
You told them that you'd come to inspect the gas meter.
I could scarcely do that again at Blandings. I might have to stay at the castle for a few days before finding even where the manuscript was kept.
Couldn't you go as a butler or something?
Scarcely.
Well, all I can say is that to get that manuscript into my hands, I am prepared to pay £1,000.
£1,000?
Well, let's say 500. A cheque for £500 the moment the old weasel's manuscript is in my hands.
Sir Gregory, I will take this case, and I have a plan. I will be at Blandings Castle by tomorrow evening, but I must ask you to do one thing. I want you to invite Mr. Threepwood over to dinner tomorrow night. Get him out of the castle.
I'll ask the others too, and I'll give them a damn good dinner. Oh, coming to see you, Pilbeam, may prove to be the wisest thing I ever did in my life.
Quite.
You rang, Mr. Galahad.
No, Beach, come in, come in. And stand easy. You look like a guilty schoolboy called to the headmaster's study.
I'm sorry, Mr. Galahad.
I only want you to dig back into your memory. You were once, as a young footman, in the employ of General Magnus, am I right?
Yes, Mr. Galahad.
Then perhaps you can tell me the exact facts about that trouble in 1912. I know the old chap chased young Mandeville 3 times round the lawn in his pyjamas, but did he merely try to stab him with a bread knife, or did he actually get home?
I could not say, sir. He did not honour me with his confidence on that point.
Infernal nuisance. I'd like to get these things right. My brother can't remember, but he's worrying about his pig.
Pig?
Beach, why on earth do you spring into the air like a frightened fawn when anyone speaks to you these days? Ah!
Hello, Uncle Gally.
Millicent, my dear, have you noticed when addressed, Beach quivers like a harpooned whale?
Oh.
Yes. And, Beach, if you are practicing the shimmy for the servants' ball, be advised by an old friend. Give it up. You haven't the build.
I'm extremely sorry, Mr. Galahad. I think I may have caught a chill.
Take a strong whiskey toddy, Beach. Soon put you right. Who's that car for out there?
I understand Lady Constance and Mr. Baxter are going to Market Blandings to meet a Miss Shoemaker, an American lady.
Shoemaker? I used to know a Johnny Shoemaker. Mixed the finest mint juleps in America. You ever tasted a mint julep, Beach? Have you, Millicent?
No.
Oh, insidious things. They creep up to you like a baby sister, slide their hands into yours, and the next thing you know, the judge is telling you to pay the clerk of the court $50. Look, I tell you what, Beach, you might fix me a whiskey and soda.
Very good, sir.
Have you seen my brother, Beach?
His lordship is at the telephone, Mr. Galahad.
Something to do with his pig, I think.
There you go again, Beach, jumping about.
I'm so sorry, Mr. Galahad. Your drink, sir.
Thank you.
Oh, I just remembered. There was a call for you on the telephone just after luncheon. A Mr. Mason, a theatrical gentleman, I gather.
Ah, Mason, manager of the Regal.
He desired me to tell you that he would be here after tea.
Show him up when he comes in, Beach.
Yes, sir.
He's got a play, Millicent, about the 90s. He wants me to put my name to it. When my memoirs are published, the name Galahad Threepwood will have box office value. The house will be sold out for weeks to all the old buffers who'll come flocking up to London to see if I put anything about them into it. Won't they, Millicent, eh?
I suppose so.
Millicent, what's the matter with you? First Beach jumping nervously every time you speak to him, and now you, looking pale and tragic, as though you'd just gone into Tattersall's and met a bookie you owed money to.
I'm perfectly happy.
Oh, yes, radiant. I've seen fogs that were cheerier. What's that book you're reading?
Seems to be about theosophy. It's one of Aunt Constance's.
Theosophy? Fancy a young girl in the springtime of her life. Theosophy. Some excuse for your Uncle Clarence. He's lost his pig. And Ronald goes about like a bereaved, undersized tomato. And that young fella, Carmody...
I am not interested in Mr. Carmody.
The atmosphere of Blandings Castle has changed all of a sudden into something Edgar Allan Poe might have written about if he'd had a liver attack. There are mysteries afoot. In my young days, a girl like you would have been upstairs making an apple pie bed for someone, instead of lolling on chairs reading books about theosophy.
Hello, Millicent. Reading? Interesting book. What's it about?
If you really want to know, it's about the transmigration of souls.
Ah, a thing I'm not very well up in.
Well, for the meanest intelligence, it means that when you die, your soul goes into something else.
What a rum idea.
Your soul, for instance, would probably go into a pig. And I would come along and look into your sty and say, why, there's Hugo Carmody. He hasn't changed a bit.
I call that a beastly thing to say. And when you let a little thing like what happened the other night rot up a great love like ours, well, I call it a bit rotten. You know perfectly well you're the only girl in the world for me.
Should I tell you something else? You make me sick.
So, it's all over, is it?
It certainly is. And if you're interested, I can tell you I intend to marry the first man who comes along and asks me. And you can be a page at the wedding if you like. You couldn't look any sillier than you do now, even in a frilly shirt and satin knickerbockers.
Oh. Your tea, Miss Millicent?
No, thank you.
For you, Mr. Carmody?
Beach.
Sir.
Curse all women.
Very good, sir. No tea for her, no tea for him. What's the matter with everybody today?
Beach, one more point. When General Magnus chased young Mandeville, was it a bread knife or a pruning hook he was after him with?
I do not know, sir.
What are you doing with that tea tray, Beach? You know I never touch tea.
Ah, tea, capital, tea.
Oh, hello, Clarence. Well, you're wreathed in smiles and skipping like the high hills. Nobody else is. What's happened? Found your pig under the drawing-room sofa?
I'm sorry, Your Lordship. I'll pick it up.
Never mind, I can do without tea today. That'll be all, Beach.
Yes, my lord.
Splendid news, Galahad. That detective fellow, the one I sent Carmody up to London to see, and he said no. Well,
you don't need a detective, Clarence. There's only one man who could have stolen that pig, young Parsloe.
Precisely. Yes, quite true. But the trained mind. Mr. Pilbeam will be here shortly.
Pilbeam?
I'm just off to the station to meet Miss Shoemaker. Mr. Baxter's waiting in the car.
Constance, my dear, I was going to tell you, a friend of mine is arriving this evening to stay a few days, perhaps.
Well, we've plenty of room for him, but we shall be out to dinner. You, Millicent, Galahad, and I are invited over to Matchingham Hall.
Parsloe?
I had a charming note from Sir Gregory, apologizing for short notice, but that's what's nice about living in the country. Of course, I said we'd be delighted.
Parsloe, I will not dine with that man.
Please do not be absurd, Clarence. I do not propose to be on bad terms with Sir Gregory just because your pig man has left you to go to him. Clearly, Sir Gregory wishes to put an end to any coolness.
Of course we must go, Clarence.
What?
Nothing gained by having unpleasantness with your neighbours in the country.
What, Galahad?
I'm glad you've got sense, Galahad. Clarence, see that your dress clothes are properly pressed and your boiled shirt clean. Last night you looked like a scarecrow. Now, I must go, or I shall be late meeting Miss Shoemaker at the station.
What the devil are you playing at, Galahad? Are we to go to Parsloe's again?
Shall I tell you something, Clarence?
Certainly, my dear fellow.
Something that'll bring a sparkle to your eye. We are going to steal Parsloe's pig this evening.
What?
Now, it's all right, Clarence, it's all right. I know what I'm doing. Now, listen. After dinner tonight, we'll send Connie and Millicent home in the car and enjoy the walk home ourselves.
Walk? But why?
Because you and I, Clarence, are going to steal Parsloe's pig, Pride of Matchingham.
Galahad!
Only thing to do. Reprisals. Recognized military maneuver. He steals your pig, we steal his. You show me where he keeps her, and I'll do the rest. You remember I told you Puffy Bencher and I stole old Whitenhurst's pig? We'll steal Parsloe's pig and put where? Yes, I know. In that caravan. Baxter's caravan in the wood. Your flower pot throwing friend. Got it? No problem.
You really think it would work?
Trust me. By the way, that man Pilbeam of yours, do you know if he was anything before he became a detective?
I have no idea, my dear fellow.
Because if he was the Pilbeam who was once editor of Society Spice, I'll want a word with him. I say, where are you going?
Into the garden.
No, take a Macintosh or a brolly. It's raining like hell. I shall be in the smoking room.
I fear I really must walk about after what you've told me. I'm in a state of considerable excitement.
Welcome to Blandings, Miss Shoemaker.
Why, thank you, Lady Constance.
My dear, I shall call you Myra.
I hope you will. Oh, what a charming hall. All these cute family portraits, tapestries, suits of armor. Oh, they're so old.
Yes. I'll show you up to your room, the garden room, later. Now we'll have tea. Beach, will you bring a tray for us and arrange for Miss Shoemaker's bags to go up to the garden room?
Very good, my lady.
Mr. Baxter, will you take Miss Shoemaker into the drawing room?
This way, Miss Shoemaker.
Thank you.
We normally have tea on the lawn in summer. It's so nice there.
It must be.
When the rain is over, Mr. Baxter, you must make sure Miss Shoemaker sees the rose garden.
I shall be delighted.
My brother's a great rose grower, Myra.
So I've heard.
By the way, Mr. Baxter, if you see my nephew Ronald anywhere, will you tell him Miss Shoemaker is here?
Certainly, Lady Constance.
Am I interrupting?
No. Myra, this is my brother Galahad. Galahad, this is Miss Shoemaker.
Really? Is it? Well, bless my soul. Well, well, well.
How do you do?
How are you, my dear? I knew your father intimately.
Did you? My father?
Oh, I haven't seen him lately, of course. Let me see. Must be 25 years since we last met.
I wasn't born then.
Great fellow, old Johnny. You'll find some stories about him in my book. I'm writing my reminiscences, you know. I remember...
You don't want to bore Miss Shoemaker with your stories at first meeting, Galahad.
It's quite all right, Lady Constance.
Well, I'll put you down for a copy when they come out. Daughter of old Johnny Shoemaker, eh?
Here's Millicent. Myra, this is my niece. Millicent, this is Myra Shoemaker.
Ronnie's friend? The Miss Shoemaker Ronnie met at periods?
Yes?
But I had the impression you were very tall. I'm sure Ronnie told me so.
I suppose almost anyone seems tall to that boy.
Have you seen Ronnie anywhere, Millicent?
Not since lunch. I suppose he's out in the grounds somewhere. I'm going for a bit of a walk. I'll tell Ronnie if I see him.
I saw Ronald half an hour ago. He came mooning along under my window. I called to him, but he just grunted and wandered off.
He will be surprised to see you, Myra. Your telegram did not arrive till after lunch, so he doesn't know you are coming, unless you told him, Galahad.
No. Never occurred to me he knew Miss Shoemaker. What was he like in Biarritz? Reasonably cheerful?
Yes, I think so.
Didn't scowl and jump and gasp and quiver all over the place?
No.
Well, then something must have happened to him when he went up to London. He's been upset ever since.
The rain stopped. Myra, you might just have time to go with Mr. Baxter and see the rose garden.
Shall we go now?
Sorry, Baxter, you're not going to take Miss Shoemaker out. I am. Old Johnny Shoemaker's little girl. Why, there are 100 things I want to discuss. Now, come along, my dear. Come along.
Thank you.
Well, Mr. Baxter, I'm sorry. My brother won the privilege.
But it couldn't have worked out better, Lady Constance. Don't you see? With your brother out in the garden, now's my chance. For the manuscript in the library.
Oh, Mr. Baxter, you think of everything.
In episode 3 of Summer Lightning by P.G. Wodehouse, Lord Emsworth was played by Richard Vernon and the Honourable Galahad Threepwood by Ian Carmichael. Lady Constance was Elizabeth Spriggs, Beach, Timothy Bateson, Hugo Carmody, Royce Mills, Millicent, Wendy Murray, Sue Brown, Susanna Fellows, Baxter, Christopher Godwin, Percy Pilbeam, Roger Sloman, Sir Gregory Parsloe, Reginald Marsh, and the narrator, Ronald Fletcher. Summer Lightning was adapted for radio by Richard Osborne and produced by Martin Fisher. Summer Lightning by P.G. Wodehouse, adapted in 6 episodes by Richard Osborne, with Richard Vernon as Lord Emsworth and Ian Carmichael as the Honourable Galahad Threepwood. Episode 4, Activities of Beach the Butler.
Who has stolen Lord Emsworth's prized pig, Empress of Blandings? And who is trying to steal the manuscript of Galahad's colourless memoirs? Why has the efficient Baxter turned up in a caravan? And why is the pestilent private eye Percy Pilbeam on his way? The castle is seething with suspicions and sundered hearts. Lord Emsworth's nephew Ronald has parted brass rags with chorus girl Sue Brown. Lord Emsworth's niece Millicent has given her devoted Hugo his marching orders. And what about this rich, eligible American girl, Myra Schoonmaker? Ah, Galahad has just found out from his theatrical friend Mason about her. She is, in fact, Ronnie's beloved Sue. Meanwhile, Baxter has sneaked up to the library to search for the memoirs, after seeing Galahad return to the garden to confront Miss Myra Schoonmaker.
Tell me the truth, Miss Brown. What's your game?
Why do you call me Miss Brown?
Your friend Mr. Mason from the Regal Theatre was with me half an hour ago.
Oh, Pa Mason, oh, Lord. Yes, I remember now. He said he knew you.
He was in a hurry to be off, but he said to give you his love, Sue. And he was glad to see that everything was all right. So, what's the game?
I can't explain. It's such a long story.
You don't mean to say you propose to leave the thing as another of those historical mysteries? Don't you want me ever to get a good night's sleep again?
Well, all right, then. When Pa Mason said everything was all right, he meant about me and Ronnie.
Ronnie? My nephew, Ronald?
Yes. I've been a chorus girl in Pa Mason's theatre. I told him I was engaged to Ronnie, but there'd be difficulties about us marrying. Money, for one thing.
Yes, my brother being Ronald's trustee.
Yes. So seeing me here, Pa Mason took it for granted that Lord Emsworth and the rest of you had consented to the engagement and invited me to the castle.
But let me get this straight. You're engaged to that young Fish?
Ronnie Fish. Yes. Oh, well, I was engaged to him. Oh.
Oh, God. And you broke it off?
Oh, I didn't break it off. He did. Ronnie said he never wanted to see me or speak to me again. But I have to get him to listen. I can explain everything. That's why I came here.
And Myra Schoonmaker?
Yes, Ronnie and I met Lady Constance unexpectedly in London, and he had a brainwave and introduced me as Myra Schoonmaker. Lady Constance invited me to come to Blandings as soon as I could, and here I am.
Well, I'll be chicken. I've never heard anything so dash sporting in all my life.
What? You mean you won't give me away?
Me? What do you take me for?
Oh, you're an angel.
You but tell me, what did you and that young poop quarrel about?
He is not a poop.
He is. He must be a poop to quarrel with you.
He found me dancing.
What's wrong with that?
I'd promised I wouldn't go dancing with anybody while he was away.
And is that the trouble? And if you can't smooth a little thing like that over, you're not the girl I take you for.
I think it'll be all right if I can just talk to him.
Well, whatever you do, you'll have to be quick. Suppose old Johnny Schoonmaker's girl does turn up.
She won't. I made Ronnie send her a telegram to Paris in Lady Constance's name, saying there was mumps or scarlet fever or something at the castle, and she was to postpone her visit.
It's the finest thing I've ever heard. Oh, it restores my faith in the younger generation. And a gal like you seriously contemplates marrying a pink shrimp like...
Now then.
Ah, well, you know your own mind best. The great thing is to get you into the family. You're just what this family's been needing for years. I say, what's this? There's my brother Clarence. Now, be careful what you say to him. Stick to your alias, what? Well, I must trot back to the library. The memoirs call. Clarence? What? You must meet our American visitor, Myra Schoonmaker.
Ah, yes, Miss
Schoonmaker.
Miss Schoonmaker, yes, indeed, Miss Schoonmaker.
How do you do, Lord Emsworth?
Will you look after Miss Shoemaker now, Clarence? Take her about, show her things, I wouldn't go too far from the house if I were you. Looks like there's a storm coming up.
Miss Schoonmaker, yes, I believe you know my nephew Ronald. Met him in Biarritz with his mother, my sister Julia, didn't you?
Yes, I don't think he knows I'm here yet.
That boy's an arse.
Why?
Well, heredity, probably. His father, old General Sir Miles Fish, was the biggest fool in the Brigade of Guards. But, you know what? Ronald bounces tennis balls on pigs' backs.
Does what?
I saw him with my own eyes. He was bouncing a tennis ball on my Empress's back. Not once, but repeatedly. Scandalous.
Well, perhaps the pig started it.
Aggravating, boy. Most aggravating. Always up to something or other. We bought a nightclub the other day. Lost a lot of money over it. Just like my brother Galahad. He started some kind of a club years ago. Cost my old father nearly £1,000, I recollect. You know, there's something about Ronald that reminds me very much of Galahad at his age.
Really?
Yes. Monsieur Maker, I'd have liked to show you my roses, but I'm expecting a visitor, a detective from London. He's coming to help me find my pig. She's been stolen, you know. So we can't go too far from the castle. Good Lord. Look.
Where?
Up there, the library. Isn't that someone trying to get out of the window?
Oh, yes, it is. And he's going to jump.
By Jove, all right. Fellow's going to do himself in.
Oh, he's jumped.
God bless my soul. Come on, quickly. Good heavens, it's Baxter.
Mr. Baxter.
Good afternoon, Lord Emsworth. Miss Shoemaker.
Baxter, my dear fellow, what's happened?
I overbalanced the window upstairs.
I say, you all right down there?
Yes, yes, thank you.
Overbalanced?
Yes, I was leaning out of the library window, inhaling the air, when I slipped.
Bless my soul. Well, you can't stay on your hands and knees in the middle of my petunias.
I was just looking for my spectacles. Oh, here they are. Well, I think I will go indoors and wash my hands.
And your face.
And my face.
Oh. Mad as a coat.
Madder, I'd say. Clarence, I'm coming down. I've got another question for you about something in my memoir.
I'll do my best, Galahad. On my word, Miss Shoemaker, I think Baxter's worse than he was 2 years ago.
Really?
At least then he didn't fall out of windows.
Mr. Baxter! Your face, your hands, what have you been doing?
Jumping out of the window.
Jumping out of the window?
I was in the library, Lady Constance, looking for the manuscript. I heard the handle of the door turn. It was your brother Galahad coming back. All I could do was to jump. I fell into a flower bed.
Oh, dear, I'm so sorry.
Furthermore, I gathered from the remark he let fall that the impression my actions have made on Lord Emsworth is that I am insane.
Oh, dear.
He even specified the precise degree of insanity. As mad as a coot were his words. Well, it cannot be helped.
And you did not get the manuscript?
No, not yet. But I shall have another chance this evening when you're all out dining at Sir Gregory's.
I think I should tell you, Mr. Baxter, Sir Gregory himself has a man looking for Galahad's memoirs.
Oh?
Yes, a Mr. Pilbeam, an inquiry agent, the same man that Clarence has sent for to look for his pig.
But he's really going to work for Sir Gregory?
Yes. That's why Sir Gregory invited us to dine this evening, to give Mr. Pilbeam a clear field to steal the memoirs.
But I said I would get the manuscript for you, Lady Constance.
Perhaps you could pool your resources and work together. Why not have a word in private with Mr. Pilbeam? But if you bring me the manuscript first, you will not find me ungrateful, Mr. Baxter.
Leave it to me, Lady Constance, leave it to me. I may surprise Mr. Pilbeam and Lord Emsworth by finding the pig too. I think that quite by chance I may be on the trail of it.
I don't care about the pig, Mr. Baxter. It's the memoirs I'm after.
Trust me, Lady Constance. Trust me.
The question I wanted to ask you, Clarence, forgive me, Miss Shoemaker, is about that governess the girls had.
Oh, Miss Jimson.
Yes, we were all horrid to her, but was it you or Julia or Connie who shot her through the bustle with your air gun? Connie refuses to tell me. Says I'm not to use the story.
I had always thought it was Julia who shot the governess, but Connie insists that she did it. I could have hit her if I'd been there. I was a very good shot, you know.
Oh, thank you, Clarence. I remember that.
Galahad, would you mind? I must hand Miss Shoemaker back to you. I have to get ready for this detective fellow from London. All right?
Yes, a pleasure. My memoirs can wait, Sue. I much prefer talking to you. Let's get back to my nephew, Ronald. Are you sure you want to marry him? He'll be quite a handful.
I don't believe you like Ronnie.
I don't dislike him. He's improved since he was a boy, I admit that. But he isn't worthy of you.
It's funny you, of all people, should say that. Lord Emsworth was telling me just now that Ronnie is exactly like you used to be at his age.
What, that boy like me? Ah, I was twice the man he is. How many policemen do you think it took to shift me from the Alhambra to Vine Street when I was in my prime? 2. Sometimes 3. And one walking behind, carrying my topper. Clarence shouldn't talk like that. It's the kind of loose gossip that makes trouble. And there's the station taxi from Market Blandings. More visitors. Good afternoon. Can I help you?
I'm from London, the Argus Inquiry Agency. I've come to see Lord...
Oh, you must be Mr. Pilbeam, the fellow come to find my pick. I am Lord Emsworth. This is my brother Galahad, and this is Miss
Shoemaker.
Quite so, Miss Shoemaker.
How do you do, Miss, did you say Shoemaker?
Yes, from America, Mr. Pilbeam.
Pilbeam? Were you ever the editor of that magazine, Society Spice? Fellow of your name used to edit it.
Not me, never. A lot of Pilbeams in London. Not me, no.
Ah, well, I'm sorry you're not the man. That Pilbeam wrote a very offensive thing about me in his magazine, and I've been wanting to meet him ever since.
Mr. Pilbeam, I must show you some photographs.
Photographs?
Of my pig, the Empress, so that you'll recognize her when you find her. They'll give you some idea of what a magnificent animal she is. They will stimulate you. I'll go to the library and look them out.
I'll come with you, Lord Emsworth.
No, my dear fellow. We're on our way to the sty. Wait here. I'll go and fetch the photograph.
You doing anything after dinner, Miss Shoemaker?
There was some talk of a game of bezique with Mr. Baxter.
With Baxter? Don't dream of it. The man's off his head. I'd like you to read the manuscript of my memoirs. Some stories about your father, old Johnny Shoemaker. We can talk about them when I get back from dinner. We're going over to our neighbours, Gregory Parsloe. Where have they put you? I mean, which is your room?
The garden room, I think it's called.
Ah, well, I'll bring it up before I go. Goodbye, Mr. Pilbeam.
All right.
Are you sure you weren't the editor of Society Spice?
I can assure you I wasn't.
Oh, well. Till later, Miss Shoemaker.
Well, Miss Brown, or should I say Miss Shoemaker,
Yes, Mr. Pilbeam.
what on earth are you doing here?
None of your business.
There's no need to be so dashed unfriendly.
Well, if you must know, I came here to see Ronnie and try to explain about that night at Mario's.
That night at Mario's, your Ronnie nearly dislocated my jaw.
Good. What were you doing there, anyway?
Miss Brown, Sue, you know I've been wanting to meet you ever since I first saw you at the theatre. You must know. You've read my letters. I meant every word in them.
I never read any after the first. I threw them away, unopened.
And now fate brings us together at Blandings Castle.
Go away, Mr. Pilbeam.
Now look here, Miss Brown, you'll admit that if I liked, I could give you away and spoil whatever game it is you're up to in this place.
Well?
Now listen, do you know why I am here?
I've stopped wondering why you are anywhere. You just seem to pop up at the most inconvenient time.
The old boy, Lord E, thinks I'm down here to find his old pig. Well, I'm not. I've come on a job for Sir Gregory Parsloe to get the manuscript of that book your friend Galahad is writing.
What?
Yes, lots of bad stories about Sir Gregory in it. So he offered me £100 to get it, to snitch the Galahad manuscript. And now your being friendly with the old buster has made everything simple.
Do you think so?
Yes, all you have to do is hand it over to me and there's 50 quid for you. 50 quid for doing practically nothing.
Otherwise you'll tell everybody who I am?
That's it.
Well, I'm not going to do anything of the kind.
What?
And if you want to tell these people who I am, go ahead and tell them.
I will.
Do. And I shall tell Mr. Threepwood that it was you who wrote that thing about him in Society Spice. I will.
Pilbeam, my dear fellow, will you come up here to the library? There are too many photographs for me to bring down to you.
Coming, Lord E. Well, if that's the way you want it, Miss Shoemaker, don't say I haven't warned you.
And good riddance. Ooh. Oh, hello, Miss Shoemaker. Hello, Millicent. Who's that man? His name's Pilbeam. Pil is right. Looks like a wrong one to me. Do you ever read Schopenhauer? No. You should. Great stuff. He says suicide is absolutely okay. He says Hindus do it instead of going to church. They bung themselves into the Ganges, get eaten by crocodiles, call it a well-spent day.
No.
Will you join me in a walk? No, thank you. I think I'll go in. As you like. Liberty Hall. Well, won't you get wet? Nice walk in the woods in the rain without a mackintosh. Just the thing. Sorry if I seem loopy. Something on my mind. Been giving it a lot of thought. The fact is, I've just got engaged to be married to my cousin Ronald. Why? Ronnie? My Ronnie? To marry his cousin Millicent? Oh, no!
Sue!
Oh, Hugo!
Has she told you?
Oh, Millicent, yes, she told me.
She's got herself engaged to marry Ronnie.
I know!
Oh, death, where is thy sting? I'm going after her. Which way did she go?
Oh, that way, toward the wood.
Millicent, are you in there? Are you in there?
Who is it?
It's me, Hugo.
Oh, Hugo, darling, save me.
Righto. What's up?
Oh, I went in there to shelter from the rain, and it's all pitch dark.
There. Darling, it's all right.
But it isn't. There's a man in there.
A man?
I heard something move, and I said, "Who's that?" And then he suddenly spoke to me. In German.
In German? But I'm going to have a look.
Hugo, stop. You'll be killed.
Don't worry, old girl. I say, Millicent, do you know what?
What?
It's the pig.
It's what?
That pig. It's not a man, not a German. It's the Empress of Blandings, large as life. Come and have a look. I'll light a match.
Hugo, wait.
I don't know. What is this place, anyhow?
It used to be a gamekeeper's cottage, and there's a room or two above.
No. Well, I'm going up there to wait. Someone must come along to feed the old girl.
I'm coming with you.
No, you get back to the house and change out of those wet clothes.
I won't.
Well, just as you like. Come on, then. The fellow may be here at any moment.
Dark, Hugo. You don't think this floor will give way? I don't want to break my neck.
Well, I wouldn't mind breaking mine. If you think I'm keen to go on living now with you and Ronnie doing the wedding glide all over the place, you're dashed well mistaken. Would you like me to break into a few casual dance steps? A bit thick, what?
Well, I was feeling very miserable and very angry with you. And I met Ronnie, and he was miserable and angry with that girl of his. He took me for a short stroll around the lake, and he suddenly said, "I say, will you marry me?" And I said, "All right." And he said, "I ought to warn you, I despise all women." And I said, "And I loathe all men." And he said, "Right-ho, I think we shall be very happy."
I see.
I only did it to score off you.
You certainly succeeded.
Well, what did you want to go off to London for, then, filling that beastly girl of yours with expensive food?
Sue Brown isn't beastly, and she isn't my girl. She's never cared a cuss for me. If you brought me Sue Brown or any other girl in the world on a plate with watercress round her, I wouldn't touch her hand.
I don't believe you.
Sue Brown is Ronnie's girl, and she's here to try to straighten things out with Ronnie, her jealous, pink-faced little fiancé. Well, your fiancé now, Millicent, damn it.
What's that American girl, Myra Shoemaker, doing here, then?
Millicent, that's not Myra Shoemaker. That is Sue Brown.
Oh.
It was only so that she would get invited to Blandings that Sue adopted that alias. Got it?
You said she wasn't pretty.
Well, Sue Brown?
Yes. She's very pretty.
Not to me. There's only one girl in the world I would call pretty, and damn it, she's going to marry Ronnie.
Hugo, please give me...
Oh.
What was that? Hold me, Hugo. I think it was a rat.
downstairs. It's Beach.
Beach?
Good evening, Miss Millicent. Good evening, sir.
Beach? What's all this?
Well, sir...
You stole the Empress. You?
Yes, sir.
Oh, Beach!
But I was an accomplice.
Accomplice? How do you mean?
I was helping someone who at the time wished to win Lord Emsworth's gratitude and his agreement to a marriage. However, that marriage is no longer on the agenda. But I have to go on feeding the pig.
I think I know who you've been accomplishing, Beach. You're a noble fella.
What if I were to suggest, sir, that the pig's disappearance and restoration could serve some advantage to you and Miss Millicent?
Just what are you talking about? Explain, Beach.
Mr. Carmody told me a few days ago that he loved you, and that his love was not spurned. I knew you would have difficulty, miss, in persuading your uncle and aunt that Mr. Carmody, merely a secretary,
A very good secretary.
would make you a suitable husband. But if Mr. Hugo were to appear as the finder of the Empress, his lordship in gratitude might well consent to the union.
Gosh!
Beach, you're an angel.
Oh, thank you, miss.
A topper! How did you think of such an idea? Beach, you must have your brain pickled and given to the British Museum.
Sir?
Well, not yet, but when you die...
Wait, Hugo. I don't think we should spring the glad news about the Empress on Uncle Clarence just yet. Give him a day or two more, and he'll have reached the stage when he'll deny us nothing.
Brilliant, Millicent. But we won't leave the Empress here. This doesn't strike me as a safe place. I know somewhere better.
Excuse me, sir, but if it's all the same to you, I'd rather not hear it. I do not wish to have the knowledge on my...
Yes, if you want to.
You understand, Miss Millicent. I have been under considerable mental strain, stealing my employer's pig. Even Mr. Baxter seems to be suspicious of my movement.
Baxter's suspicious of everybody.
From now on, if asked whether I know what has happened to the Empress or where she is, I will be able to say truthfully that I have no idea of the pig's circumstances or of her whereabouts.
I shall remove the Empress as soon as she's gobbled up that food you brought her. Beach, it's a far, far better thing you did than you have ever done. We shall remember you in our prayers.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, miss. I am glad to have given satisfaction. I will leave you now and go back to the castle. And I wish you every success and happiness.
Ah, Beach, there you are.
Lord?
Would you come into the smoking room a minute? Mr. Baxter is with me.
Your lordship wishes to speak to me?
Yes. Beach?
Yes, your lordship?
I sent for you because Mr. Baxter here has made a most remarkable charge against you.
I should be glad to be acquainted with the gravamen of the accusation, your lordship.
The what?
What it is that Mr. Baxter says about me.
Tell him, Baxter. Yes, tell him, dash it.
I followed you, Beach, to that gamekeeper's cottage in the West Wood half an hour ago.
Sir?
You heard what I said.
Yes, sir, but I have never been near the spot you mention. Not for, let me think, several years.
But I saw you with my own eyes.
He says he peeped through the back window, and there you were, feeding the Empress.
I came straight back to tell you, Lord Emsworth, after I changed my clothes. I got very wet.
I beg pardon, your lordship. I really fail to comprehend.
Dash it, Beach. Baxter here is saying that you stole my pig.
Might I speak frankly, your lordship? I hesitate only because what I say may give offence to Mr. Baxter.
Get on, Beach. Say what you like.
Well, then, your lordship, I think it possible that Mr. Baxter may be suffering from hallucinations again.
What? You mean he's potty again?
Yes, your lordship.
Oh, really, Lord Emsworth?
No, I'm not saying you're potty, Baxter, only...
This man is lying. Now, wait. Beach, are you prepared to come with his lordship and me to the cottage now and let his lordship see for himself?
No, sir.
Ha!
I should first wish to go downstairs and get my hat.
Quite right. Very sensible. Might catch a nasty cold in the head. Certainly get your hat, Beach. Meet us at the front door.
Very good, your lordship.
And I shall take this stout walking stick with an ivory knob on it, just in case. You go ahead of me, Baxter. We're coming, Beach.